They're racing in the Sydney GPS head of the river over to Dick Pedlingham.
About a third of a length over Shaw, who have moved up now and share the second position with Newington, whose rate has dropped a little bit, and also Sydney Grammar School on the far side. Crews are very well spread out, and all except Sydney High are performing very well. Still in the lead now is St Joseph's College, hard pressed by Shaw. Their lead reduced a little bit. Shaw have moved into second place, only about a canvas behind St Joseph's, who are still leading both those crews in the centre of the field. And over on the 8th position, on the near bank, Sydney Grammar School are still hanging on very well. We're moving now alongside the crews and can report that the lead between St Joseph's, the early leader, and Shaw have been cut down now to a foot, and in fact Shaw are only about 2 feet behind them. Newington hanging on wonderfully well, a further 2 or 3 feet further back, and Sydney Grammar School still with them. Then coming a further quarter length back, King's School and Scots in equal position, and in second last is St Ignatius College, and well back now at the end of the field, in number 8 position is Sydney High. Settling down now and to run up to the first half mile, St Joseph's have resisted Shaw's challenge, and they've moved out once again to Scots moving out now. This is a magnificent race. All crews except Sydney High are in this, very much in this race, going past the half mile. In fact, a length and a quarter would cover the entire field. Scots still leading, Joseph still leading by about a canvas from Shaw. They've withstood that challenge, and Newington hanging on very well on equal terms with Shaw and Grammar. Those 3 last named crews are in equal second place, and Scots on the near bank nicely placed, but not quite responding as I thought at this stage. Perhaps not quite as bright. They're wonderfully long on the water, but they haven't got the tremendous punch that's evident in the St Joseph's boat. Shaw, with almost colliding, in fact, they're being warned over by the judge, by St Joseph's, have a lot of nice run between strokes, and apparently man for man are getting as much out of the boat as St Joseph's, who are rowing as I've never seen men row before. This particular crew have got the power and are turning on a surprising show of rate. I would think the St Joseph's boat is turning on a rate that would be at least a point higher than Newington College and Shaw. Shaw filling the pace a bit now, falling back now to half a length behind the leaders, who are still St Joseph's College. Both those crews occupying the centre of the field. Scots beginning to move up now, quite unhurried, plenty of length in the water, and for the first time are beginning to pass Grammar and pushing them back into 4th place. Now run down the crew, St Joseph still leading, finding it hard to shake off both Shaw and Newington, and further over on the near bank in 7 and 8 is Scots and Grammar having their own private battle. Now Scots are moving up now. This very, very effective length of Scots that I can see is beginning to tell. They're moving past Grammar and are becoming a very distinct challenge to the leaders, St Joseph's College, Shaw and Newington. And Kings, as usual, bright as a button, refuse to be shaken off and are hanging on now in equal 5th place with Grammar. St Joseph still leading in the centre by about inevitable canvas, a quarter length from Shaw, a further 2 feet back to Newington College, and here comes Scots moving up and are beginning to pass Newington. The race is more than half over, and St Joseph's, with all their power, will have to withstand, I can see it coming, a tremendous fast piece of rowing from Scots College. Approaching now the last half mile, it's this power of St Joseph's hasn't shown the slightest sign of wilting, and they've still got that canvas on shore, and a further 2 feet, no more, back to Scots College. And then comes equal terms, Newington fading a little bit here and holding it just with Kings, and Sydney Grammar falling back in second last place. On the far bank is St Ignatius, and in last place is a great crew of triers from Sydney High. With a quarter mile post in sight now, the battle royal. Here comes Newington. The rate is coming up in the Newington boat. 2 points higher, 3 points higher. What a magnificent spectacle. It's years since we've seen crews so closely together as this. With only a bit more than a quarter mile to go, there's nothing to choose. I mean nothing to choose between St Joseph's leading by a fraction Then coming Scots, going through like a train now, and almost a collision between Shaw and St Joseph's, Newington College and Shaw, and even King's well in it. What a magnificent spectacle. And here comes Scots. They're going to be the crew to beat with only a quarter mile to go, with that magnificent length, a racing rhythm that's rarely seen. Scots have taken the lead for the first time, and St Joseph's are beginning to tire. Newington coming up on them, catching them. Shaw falling back into fourth place. King's fifth, and with Scots racing like a beautiful crew should, it's over to Norman May.
And Scots approaching the crowd on the western bank. They're screaming out now as Scots in front. A line of 4 crews across the river beside them as Newington, St Joseph's, Shaw and King's. Well back to Grammar and St Ignatius, and High about 4 lengths back in last place. Scots in front, a half a length in front with 300 yards to go. Scots, then Newington right beside St Joseph's. They're pulling in front of them now. A little bit back to Shaw, and King's moving up fast over in number 2 position. But Scots half a length in front to Newington. Then it's a canvas to St Joseph's. King's right on St Joseph's, about a canvas behind. Then half a length back to Shaw and Grammar. 150 yards to go. Scots half a length in front. Newington trying to pull up stroke by stroke. They're coming closer. St Joseph tiring a little bit. Grammar finishing very fast over in number 1 position. But it's Scots still half a length in front. Newington in second place. Close between Grammar and St Joseph. Scots about 2 strokes. The gun coming up, and there's the gun. Scots first. Newington second. Grammar third. St Joseph's fourth. King's fifth. Then Shaw in 6th place. St Ignatius well back about 3 lengths behind that. The first 5 crews finished within a length or 2 lengths of each other, and Sydney High will come across in last place. We'll have to await the official result, but it would be Scots first, Newington second, and here's the official result coming up. Now we repeat the official result. First Scots, second Grammar, second Newington, and third Grammar. First Scots, second Newington, and third Grammar. The margins are half a length and a canvas. The winning time, 7:53 and 1/5, the result of the championship 8s. And now for his comments on the day's racing, we cross down to our radio launch and Dick Pedlingham.
What a wonderful result for so many years of successful but not quite successful enough rowing. Scots this year couldn't have won unless they were a first-class crew. They, in a tactical sense, they played their cards perfectly. They waited roughly in 4th or 5th or even 6th position at one stage, were quite unhurried, and the most noticeable thing about their rowing was their ability to row long and row at a relatively low rate. They were quite untroubled about the whole performance, and you can't do that unless you're a first-class crew. They struck a racing rhythm immediately, and they didn't attempt to match the early power of Newington and St Joseph's College, but sat back with all the length in the water, a most economical racing rate, and I think it's a wonderful result for so many years of good forward rowing. And when one comes to think of it, over the years, Scots have always been a crew that took some beating and have usually done well in every race. They were certainly the best Scots crew I've seen, and it's their second victory in GPS rowing, the last one being in 1946. And there they are, rowing under the bridge now. A very good crew, rowing 12 stone 2, certainly the best Scots crew I've seen, and one of the best GPS crews in terms of rowing long and economically I've seen. Newington performed well up to standard despite their early trouble with their last marks must go to Sydney Grammar School, who weren't given much of a chance by the experts, if there are such people, and they in turn deserve everyone's congratulations. The stage of the race, with only a quarter mile to go, was quite remarkable. With only 2 crews accepted, the whole 6 were in the final winning position had they had the ability. Scots won over a very good field and showed up today that unhurried, long and effective rowing will tell over all sorts of techniques and all sorts of strength. Congratulations to Scots, and back to the studio.